Hello, folks. Good evening. I'm going to read to you the last 7 daily inspirational messages, and then you guys can choose one, and we can go from there. All right.
Well, can I just, I'm sorry to interrupt. If anybody wants privacy for their, this will be recorded and shared on social media. So if you'd like to change the name showing up, you can go put your mouse over participants. And then when you find your name, you could put your mouse over the 3 dots and then change it to a name that you're comfortable with. Thanks. Okay.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Okay, these are the last 7. We are not who we've been programmed to be. Recalling and sharing our true nature. Awakening from hopelessness to hope. Returning back home to the present moment. It is our choices that determine the day we have. Becoming the expression of oneness. Offering our past self gratitude instead of judgment. And no longer blocking our awareness to the presence of peace. If you guys would like to choose a title.
How about not blocking our awareness to peace?
Okay. That's going to be the June 16th daily inspirational message, the condensed version. It's 2 paragraphs long. I'll go ahead and read it, and then I'll make a couple comments and we can go from there. Okay. Paragraph 1. When you seem to lack peace in any situation, it is not really peace that you lack. You merely lack the tools to see that the choice for peace is available to you. It is not that peace, it is not peace that is not present and available. It's that the thoughts and attitude that you have been programmed to take in regards to the situation are blocking your awareness to the presence of peace. Once these blocks or false concepts are dismantled and let go, all that remains is the presence of peace. As you continue to see and align with your eternal loving essence and nature instead of the ego's past programs and mindset, greater peace will result. Love is who you were created to be, and peace is an extension and reflection of love. The more often you align with the truth in you, the easier it will be for you to focus on, experience, and reflect the state of peace. Paragraph 2. Today, let us recall that because God is love in all that the divine is available to us in every moment. Love is the foundation of the present moment. Peace is one of love's numerous expressions. Because of this, the choice for peace is also available to us in each moment. If we choose to discard the ego's judgment-centric, fear-based programs and mindset, we will find peace gladly awaiting our return. Today, forgive and let go of who you are not, and by doing so, experience the state of peace welcoming you with open arms. No longer buy into the ego's false concepts as real. No longer block yourself from the state of peace. Today, simply recognize that for a while, the ego's mindset has taken control over your mind, thus blinding you to your true inheritance. Knowing this, through forgiveness, consciously set the ego's delusions aside. When you do, peace will become your constant companion. End of paragraph 2. All right. So the basic idea here is very simple. Is that no matter how the ego paints the situation, no matter how much drama it says that you should focus on, no matter how much frustration or anger or resentment you should have in those moments, the reality is, beneath the fairy tale, is that peace is available to you in those moments. And so beneath this, there's a story, the ego story. This is where the drama is, right? This is where your frustrations are in regards to people not behaving the way you think they should behave, or thinking the way the ego programs you to think they should think. And so this here is what, in quotes, takes away your peace. But because you're God's creation, and God is the Father of peace, you are the child of peace, And therefore, peace is always available to you beneath the story. The possibility for peace remains. And so if you don't find peace in the situation, it's not because it's not there. It's because your past programming is blocking your awareness to the state of peace. And so don't condemn yourself for not having peace. Don't condemn others for not having peace. Don't punish yourself for not having peace. Just recognize, okay, I'm not having peace, not because of situation A, B, or C. I'm not having peace is because my past programming is defining situation A, B, and C. So when I place my past programming aside and I choose to trust God, the state of peace results. And the beautiful part of that is that the ego's going to paint the story 1,000 different ways to try to catch you in the story. But they're all the same thing because they're all fairy tales. They're all not true or real. Only the peace within you is the truth about you in that moment. And so you're always just a simple choice away from peace. Okay? So be still. Take back control of your thoughts when you're not at peace. Align your thoughts with the love, an expression of love that the moment seems to be requesting, and then be that love. Any comments or questions? Or has anybody been lacking peace this week in relation to any individual situation, experience?
Me every day.
All right. Give us an example.
Well, today I had a couple of students write me that they didn't understand. They had zeros, even though they submitted their essays. And I spent an inordinate amount of time with Canvas is the name of the management system we're on. And you can do live chats. And so I thought, oh, these poor kids, they turned in their essays and it's showing them zeros and they dropped their grade by 40%. And it turned out, after spending an hour talking to the Canvas reps, that it was because they turned their stuff in late. And so the software automatically puts in a zero. But instead of being honest and saying to me, I turned my paper in late, I'm showing as having a zero, can I still get points? They acted like there was something wrong with the system. And that upset me, well, irritated me, I should say, greatly. But I have calmed down since then. But I think what happens is I don't understand why it's so easy for me to lose my peace when I practice so much. So it's really more of that question. It's not why do things trigger me or why do I get upset, but why is it so fast that, I don't even have a moment of step back before it happens.
Okay, just remember that you're not when we've had a few decades, let's say, beneath our belts, we're programmed in a certain way, right? So, and nobody has ever told us there's a better way to react to certain situations. And so all we did during the last 3 decades was reinforce the lie as real, right? And so we were trained to react to certain situations in certain ways. And those ways did not bring us peace. But we didn't know any better, right? So we just thought that, well, this is the way you react to a situation where maybe your students are not completely honest. And so don't punish yourself for reacting in that way. Just remind yourself that that way of reacting is not going to bring you peace. And what you truly want is peace. And so all you have to do is recognize, okay, I'm not in a state of peace. I'm not going to punish myself for that because this is just a program response, right? I'm not going to punish my students for that because they're not responsible for me lacking peace. The way that I define the situation is responsible for me lacking peace, not them. It's the way I responded to what they did with, let's say, a lack of forgiveness or compassion or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way you've been programmed, and that's okay. And sometimes students need a little, young people need a little, a little kick in the butt, so to speak. And so Just recognize, okay, these are kids. In the end, after all is said and done, these are just kids. I was a kid before. I wasn't exactly a saint. And so I'm going to have compassion for them, but I'm going to be honest with them. I say, listen, the real reason why you got a bad grade was because you turned it in late. And that's what the software says. So we can talk about the grade and so on and try to, improve it or whatever it is, however it is that you play with that situation. But you can come to a place of peace, knowing that I have the power to choose peace. I have the power to respond in a way that will bring me closer to peace, instead of responding in a way that I've been programmed to respond, which is, well, these guys are cheating or not being totally honest, and therefore they're worthy of my punishment. But that's what the ego tries to tell you. And in the ego's duality, maybe the ego is right. But remember, the ego is in itself is a lie. And so even when the ego is right, it's lying to you, because it's not delivering the peace and joy you want. So if it's not delivering to you the emotions and energies that you want, why continue to support that way of thinking? Just remind yourself there must be a better way. There must be a way to think about the situation that brings me a little more peace. And then choose that. And that's all you have to do, is practice choosing what brings you peace instead of your programming. Just don't punish yourself for your programming. It's just programming.
Well, that's very helpful. And I like how you said not to punish them either.
Yes.
So, no, it's, because the truth is, if they wrote me and said I turned in my paper late, well, I modeled it for them in an announcement. I just said, this is what you do if you have this problem. Don't try to make it look like it's the software issue and put me in a position where I have to then go deal with, the people who fix this stuff. What you should do is write, dear professor, I turned in my paper late and I show as having a 0. Would I be able to get any points for that paper? And then I just said, if you want a professor to extend him or herself to you and give you points for something you turned in late, the way to go about it is not to, be dishonest about what the issue is. And I don't know how that read tone wise, but I did get an apology from one of those students already, saying she should have handled it differently. And I'm going to give them points. I'm not going to keep it a 0, but I would have been much happier to give them points without them doing that to me, putting me in a position where I got to spend, it's not even one of my work days, but I, was online with reps from the company to try to fix the problem. And then when I realized what it was, I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. And those students were dishonest, so a little judgmental there for all of us, but it's okay. It's all about learning. So I'm going to learn.
Yes. And in the end, you learn that you have the power to choose peace instead of what the ego is trying to sell you, which is frustration, resentment, anger, maybe, anything to try to separate you from who you truly are, which is love, and where you truly belong, which is the state of love. So the ego will try all kinds of different little games. Just know it's the ego's game and remind yourself, I have the power and I can choose once again. Yes. Thank you, Wendy. Yes. RISD. You're muted. Yeah, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Angela or Angela, whatever.
Angela.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that to me it's hard to either do it on my own or even understand how do I keep the balance between choosing peace, but yet at the same time being able to act. Like, for instance, there are certain things like all through my life that I know that they require from me to take actions. And in doing that, I lose my peace. How can I keep that balance and to do it, but don't lose? Because I know there is a way that you can still be peaceful and you can still be firm, and you can, accomplish, what you want to do. That's something that I've always admired. Very few people have it, but I don't know. Do you understand what I'm telling you? I don't know if you.
A little bit, yeah. Okay. First thing is, don't tell yourself, or don't speak to yourself in a way that makes it hard. Okay. Because when you say it's hard to do something, then you kind of block yourself from the solution, so to speak. Okay. So it's not hard for you to have peace in regards to any situation in your life. It's just that you've been programmed in that way to think that way. And so when you're programmed in a way to think that something is hard to do, then it makes it a little bit harder. When because you are God's creation, right? You're love's creation, right? And peace is a natural expression of love, right? And so peace must be who you truly are. Okay. So your natural response, your natural place in life is the state of peace. Okay. So it's not hard to be in your natural state of mind. It's just that we've been programmed certain ways that we have to let go of. Okay. And so what you want to do is you want to make a decision from the foundation of peace. And one of the things you might be able to begin to tell yourself is, okay, what would peace do right now? Do you know how some Christians go, what would Jesus do right now? What would Jesus do? You know that? Okay.
Yes.
So in a way you can say to yourself, okay, what would peace do now? What would peace say now? What boundaries would peace make?
So let me interrupt you there.
Okay.
So the story in the Bible when Jesus got mad in the temple and he threw everybody, all the merchants there. Did he lose his peace while he was? What do you think?
No, I don't think he lost his peace. Well, of course, I wasn't there, first of all. But this is how I read it. Okay. Remember, the Bible, like many books of truth, have different levels to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that Jesus did when he was in the temple, he overthrew the tables and he broke the cages, because they would not only would they tax in the temple, they would also sell sacrifices in the temple, animal sacrifices. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the main animal sacrifices that they sold in the temple were doves. Okay. For sacrifice. Doves were and are the symbol of the Holy Spirit. Okay. Now, the Holy Spirit lives in the body. The body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Okay. So, what Jesus was doing, he was breaking the doves free from those cages, which means he was opening the Holy Spirit up to the physical body. Because it says that the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Okay.
Yeah.
So when Jesus is breaking the doves from those cages where they used to be sacrificed, he's liberating the dove, okay, from the cage, from the body. So now the dove is free to live in the body and move in the body. Okay. So before then, obviously after all that, he was he was crucified, and then he rose from the dead, and then he spent 40 days on earth teaching. Okay. And after 40 days, he told the disciples to pray and fast for 10 days, and the Holy Spirit would come upon them. Okay.
Yes.
And so he was preparing the way for the Holy Spirit to come into our physical bodies. So on one level, people look at the situation and say, "Oh well, Jesus was pissed at the tax collectors and the people who sold the animals and all that stuff." No, but he was in a literal way, in a symbolic way, he was liberating the Holy Spirit. Okay.
Mhm.
So yes, on one level, the ego can see that and say, "Oh, well, Jesus was pissed. Therefore, because Jesus was pissed and he's the Son of God, that gives me the right to be pissed anytime I want to, or anytime I see some kind of injustice." But
Mhm.
that wasn't the message, the true message behind what he did in the temple. The true message was he was liberating the Holy Spirit for all of us.
Right.
And so that's the way that I see it. Okay.
Mhm.
And so what you want to do is you can act from a place of anger, or you can act from a place of peace. Okay. That's your choice. It's called free will. Okay. But you have to ask yourself, how many times have I reacted with anger? Have I set boundaries with anger? And how many times did that lead me to peace or peace of mind or joy? Probably never, in reality, you know. And so, how can I set these boundaries, not with anger or resentment or frustration, but instead with peace and with love? How can I set self-loving boundaries?
Mm.
And so, you want to start practicing setting boundaries from a place of love, not from a place of anger. Because true power is love. It's not the punishment. Okay, because only love is real, right? Only love is real.
Yes.
Therefore, only love has true power.
Yes.
Punishment is the opposite of love, right?
Yeah.
But the opposite, and love is all, right? So if
Right.
love is all, then punishment has to be nothing. Okay, so it doesn't have any real effect in reality. It doesn't have any long lasting effect. And so begin to practice just aligning with love and making decisions from this place of love, and that will always lead you to peace of mind and joy. And again, like we said before, is as a Christian say, what would Jesus do? All you have to say is, what would peace say right now? Then say that. How would the state of peace set up boundaries, and then set boundaries with the state of peace?
Right.
Come from peace.
Very, very, very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments or situations during the week that we might have lacked a little bit of peace? Or is everybody just completely peaceful now?
So I am now, I'm just, since nobody has anything to say right now, I can just say I am doing a job right now that it requires a lot of action, and that it could maybe, be for trying to fix something, trying to do something. And that's what I needed, the peace, because now you're right. If I don't do it from a place of love, it's not going to be good, because it really is never good to lose your peace when you're doing, especially if you're doing something that is delicate like that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Gay, how you doing, Gay? How's your last week been?
It was good. It was good, thank you. There were moments of not peace, but it's probably best not to talk about it because it was involving the No Kings protest. It's too political.
It's okay. It's all right. We're working on our own peace right here, so politics is a useful teaching device.
Well, it was beautiful. It was peaceful. Just one man who wasn't part of it kind of went after me and was extremely rude. And I didn't respond with peace. I told him he was a sick man. I blew it. I didn't do what Jesus would have done or what peace would have done. But anyway, but apart from that, it was a pretty peaceful week. It was scary when one man came and he was not part of it. He was just walking amongst it, and he had bicycle chains hanging and very rude things written on his shirt. And my peace went for a while during that time, but that's about it. Is that okay to talk about these things?
Yeah, yeah, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, we're in interesting times, political
Yeah.
times. So it's always every example is useful. And so, okay, so you're in No Kings protest. Do they call it protests? No Kings
They do. I prefer to say a demonstration.
demonstration. Okay, demonstration. That's a nicer word.
And you know, I've never been to one before because I'm an empath. I stay away from crowds. But this was too important. I found a way to go. Held on to Bud. And I took a lot of photographs and film, which I submitted and they shared. So that was good. I don't know if I told you I'm a photographer. Anyway, so yeah.
Okay.
So we are. I truly believe that despite what it looks like, I do think we are headed towards more peace. I do think it's going to happen. I really believe that with my whole heart. It's kind of like we're having like some sort of a cleanse or a detox or something. But anyway. So yeah, that's all that happened.
Yeah. So again, we want to go into these kind of situations, understanding the environment that we're going into, and that there are going to be people with different opinions, usually in those kind of situations than us. So we always want to go into these kind of situations. We try to go into it more proactively instead of reactively, because if you go into a situation proactively, understanding that there might be people who think unlike us, then we're more prepared to choose peace instead of just react to whatever is happening. And so you can visualize the situation. Okay, I'm going to go into this demonstration. There might be people who are demonstrating in the other side. I understand that this is a very good possibility. I'm going to go into it with peace and with love. And whatever it is that they say to me, I'm just going to offer them love. And I'm not going to shout back, and I'm going to let them say whatever it is they want to say, because I know that the truth in them is only love. And so in truth, they can only say loving things, or they could say nothing. Even when they're saying quote unquote something, they're saying nothing. Because as in the Course of Miracles would say, everything is love or a call for love, right? And so what is that person really doing? In reality, that person is calling out for love. And what's the proper response to a call for love? Love, right? That's how you remain at peace, by responding to a call for love with love. And so whenever they want to say whatever it is they want to say, we practice, in essence, turning the other cheek, since we're talking about Jesus earlier on. And so that turning the other cheek shows you that only the love in you is true.
Yeah.
And everything else is just an appeal for help and healing. And so that's what we're there to do in those moments, is to be a light, even within the darkness. Even
And I
with,
remembered, I apologize.
no,
I
go ahead.
remembered, I mean, I know that it's a call for help. I know that it's an opportunity to practice peace. But in that moment, I remembered when I told Bud afterwards what I said to the guy. I said, you know, James says that the ego answers first and loudest. That's what happened. But how wonderful. I didn't feel good about it. Oh, no, actually, no, for a few minutes, I felt like, yeah, I told him.
Yeah.
Then I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, I went, and after listening to what you just said, how wonderful would it have been if I could have addressed the God within him, the Christ within him, the brother within him and responded, I love you. That would have been far more impactful. So hopefully I'll learn to be able to do that straight away instead of calling him a very sick man. I know.
No, it's okay. It's okay. And so, yeah, so that's why we want to practice being proactive. We know what kind of environment we're going into in those situations. Let's take the hand of peace and compassion and walk hand in hand with them
Yeah.
into those situations.
Yeah.
So you're walking hand in hand with Christ into those situations, hand in hand with love into those situations. And then when you do so, you just hear love or a call for love. Okay, this brother here is a little bit lost. He's just asking for love. And so that's what I'm going to answer. I'm going to answer love with love. And so this situation will help teach you something for the future.
Yes.
And in the future, your brother or sister is going to give you another opportunity to choose love.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
then when you choose love in the next difficult situation, when you choose love, then you're going to be grateful to that sick man who just offered you an opportunity to practice choosing love over fear. And remembering that you have the power to choose.
Yeah, thank you. That was excellent.
Thank you, Gay. Christina, you have your hand up?
Yeah. What I love is that with what was just shared is how the course always reminds me that forgiveness is for myself and the amount of times that I too have reacted, and then the ego coming in and wanting to guilt and shame me for my actions. And it almost just perpetuates the experience. And instead of letting go of the past and remembering that every moment is a new moment, the holy instant. And that's a part of the practice for me as well, like recognizing that I reacted in an unloving way and forgiving myself, and then knowing that mistakes are for correction and that I'm sure the universe will pop quiz me again. And how am I going to navigate the situation? And I'll probably still fall into the pothole. And that's okay too. We just kind of get up and keep going again. But I love to hear those experiences because it's just a reminder of my humanness and that part of me that is human and in this world that makes mistakes. Yet the spirit in me reminds me in a loving way that it's okay and we can try again.
Yes, choose once again, as the Course would always gently say. Simply choose once again. And so remember, the ego is always going to try to sell you temporal peace. It's going to call it peace, right? But it's really a temporal peace. It's a false peace, right? So you say, "Oh, I gave that guy what he deserved," and your ego is going to say, good job. Here's your peace because you did that." And then, like half an hour or an hour later, you'll be like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And so you see the ego's always telling you CRAP, not lasting peace, not lasting joy. And so, yeah, so when you get those, as Christina called it, a pop quizzes in life, just don't punish yourself for reacting in the way that ego would react. Just say, okay, you got me there. I'm going to use the situation to learn from it, because I know if a situation occurred, it's because something in the future is going to come up, and I'm going to be able to react in a more loving way thanks to my life experience. And so all this was is life experience that I can now put into my spiritual tool belt, and then God will send me individuals in the future where I can use these tools to help them heal, to react with love to somebody who's in darkness. And then you'll show them a way to the light inside of them. But it was only because of your life experience that you had that you're now able to show those people in the darkness a way to the light within them. And so when you start to recognize, oh, I'm able to offer light to these individuals who are in the darkness because of my brother in the past, who I call the sick guy. He was the individual who helped me become this brighter light here. And so thank you, individual X, because I know what you really did for me. And so And so thank you, and I bless you, and I pray for you, and I pray for your peace. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Christina. Isabel, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, as Christina was saying, I think it's a mistake, or you were saying something like that. But what about when my ego doesn't say that this situation or this experience or this person that we're having this interaction and it's not healthy, and we don't think it's a mistake because my mind is not judging it that way. It's judging it as someone with an intention to cause an argument, to cause a fight, to cause a disconnection. So it's do I have to take it even that way as a mistake when we see, that is not because to me mistake is something that's happened without I don't know, a voluntary decision. It's involuntary. It's a mistake. Oh my God, this glass fell from the table. It was like a little accident, let's say. And so even when it is an intention, for someone, we have to see the innocence. I think that's what the course will say. However, my ego doesn't go there. My humanness goes to accuse. You did this. You don't love me. You don't want me. You caused this problem. So the discernment there, the rising above the battleground, it takes time, but at the end we have to. I see that I have to do that when I don't want to be in the same battle of accusations or blaming, shaming, whatever, defense.
Yes. So, okay. Remember, our primary purpose in life is to, in each moment and an interaction, be a light in the world. Okay? That's our primary purpose.
Mm-hmm.
When we're executing our primary purpose, we're going to have peace. When we're not executing our primary purpose, we're going to have pain. Okay? Or guilt, or shame, or 10 other things that are not pretty. Okay? So the Course in Miracles tries to be very gentle and say mistakes call for correction. When you're not being a light in the world, that's simply a mistake. Because you're meant to be a light in the world. Not in 9 out of 10 times. You're meant to be a light in the world 10 out of 10 times. But yes, our past programming will sometimes take over our thoughts. And that's when we call for correction. And so, yes, it is a mistake when you add darkness to darkness. Okay? But a mistake is not something to be shameful or guiltful for. It just calls for correction. It calls for understanding. It calls for reversing the thinking of the world. And so, yes, practice whenever you see and you say, well, this person did X or Y, therefore he deserves something other than love or compassion. That's his mistaken thinking. That just shows that your past programming is in control of your mind. And all you have to do is recognize, okay, my mind is not at peace. My mind is not offering peace. Let me now consciously decide to see my brother or sister as innocent, not as guilty, as somebody who's calling for love, somebody who's calling for the light, to remember the light in them. And so you're able to shift from that judgment response to an innocence response, to seeing the innocence in your brother and sister. And so it's just a conscious shift inside your mind. Whenever you start to lean towards that darkness, to lean towards the programming, past programming, and you just correct it inside your mind. And the more you practice the correction from the judgmental state to the non-judgment state, the more you practice this shift, the more natural and normal this shift becomes. And then the more normal you feel, experience seeing only innocence as real. But it was only because you got to practice all those times that you got to practice is why you feel more comfortable here, seeing innocence. And so when you start to see innocence in everybody and all, instead of the judgment, you start to make peace with your past and all those people you condemn for mistakes. Because all these people just helped you become a more self-aware individual, that you control your thoughts. Your thoughts shouldn't be controlling you. When are you in control of your thoughts? When your thoughts are loving in nature. When are you not in control of your thoughts? When your thoughts are unloving in nature. So it's a simple thing. Are my thoughts loving in nature? Okay, that means I'm in control of my thoughts. Let me offer that love. Are my thoughts unloving in nature? Okay, they're unloving right now. Okay, let me just take back control of my thoughts. Forgive myself for my misperception. Forgive my brothers and sisters. See only the innocence in them that's real and true. And then come from that place of love and compassion and kindness. So, yes, do not judge your brother or do not judge yourself for being out of alignment. Just come back into alignment and practice over and over. And the more we get to practice, the more we will share light in the world instead of darkness. Thank you, Isabel.
Oh, you're welcome.
Wendy, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Well, first of all, I just want to say how much I appreciate this particular class. And Christina, you're so helpful when you talk about like the way that these are just like pop quizzes and opportunities. And, like it's very easy. Like James, you always say, don't punish yourself when you didn't respond in the best way, the most peaceful way. I think it's taken me a long time for that to sink in because I'm just used to, eviscerating myself if I'm like, this is not what you were supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like I'm just upset with myself. But now I'm like, now I see kind of like a bigger picture, which is, well, everything takes repetition. I'm a teacher. I know that. You have to practice over and over again before you get something. So why would I expect anything else from myself? I'm no different from anybody else. I have to learn by repetition and I'm hard headed. So I might need a lot more repetition. But, so interesting because I was thinking, I actually did it the right way this morning, like before I got to school, because my daughter, I went in her room. She was supposed to cut up and feed the dogs, and she didn't. And it was like a half hour later. But really, I went in there I was worried because she told me she had this financial issue with her credit cards, a couple of things that I was worried about. And I knew she would just get up and run out the door with her significant other. So I just wanted to offer my help. And her reaction was not pleasant. I was talking to her the way I'm talking right now. I said, listen, I know you're having difficulty with this credit card. I can help you right now. Before you go out for the day, we can make the call together. I can find out, if we can switch over the cards, your percentage rate, all of that stuff. I was just trying to assist her because she's gotten herself into some financial trouble. And I said, and then if you also want to blah, blah. And I don't, whatever she hears, I'm starting to realize that what I can say something in a normal tone. I can even express that I want to help her. But if she's hearing it as some kind of attack, I don't have any control over that. And so she was like, you come in here and you're bombarding me with all this stuff and, coming at me and telling me all the things I have to do. And I said, well, honey, I said, I actually just came in here to offer you help. I said, that's all I was intending to do for you. So, I'm sorry you're struggling. And if you want me to help you later and not now, I'll still help you. And I left the room because what else is there for me to do? So this is not like me. And we often get into it. Like, if I go in to offer her help and she's nasty to me, I'll be like, you know how rude you are? I'll be like, here I am trying to help you. And look at the way you're talking to me. I didn't do any of that. I just said, I came here to help you and I'll help you later if you want me to. And I left the room and she got up out of bed and got her credit card and made the calls without me and then came to tell me what the result was. She said, I talked to them and this is what they said and blah, blah, in a perfectly normal voice. So it was like whatever had happened earlier didn't happen. But I know I helped her just by making the suggestion that I could make the calls with her. That's why she did it herself. And so in the end, I was like, you know what? I did learn something. because I did not respond to her accusing me of like bombarding her and, you know, attacking her and whatever else her thing was. Because I did exactly what you said, which is she wasn't seeing what was really there, and there was no reason for me to engage in it. Do you know what I mean? And I only wanted her to have the message that I loved her and I wanted to help her. And so it wasn't going to help me to get into it with her about the way she was talking to me and her tone of voice. So I think I'm noticing this, and I'm saying this because I was upset about what happened with the way I handled it with my students, but I realized that I am making progress in this. And what Christina said is true. You know what I mean? Like if I made the mistake with the students and I was upset with them and lost my peace over it, then next time it happens, I have a new chance to say, okay, I know what I did last time was not the right way to approach this. Let me try it a different way. But I feel better now. I'm really glad I came to this class because I really was, sort of, you know, not happy because of what happened when I went to work and I didn't even need to go to work. But now I'm happy because I feel like I can see progress. And the real lesson here for me is this idea of forgiving yourself when you lose your peace, when you don't react the right way. It is not a catastrophe, and I deserve a chance to do better just like everybody else does. And I have to extend that grace to my students, to my daughter, to myself, and to everybody that I run into. So it's a good lesson. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, that's, as Mike would say, perfect. Okay. Yes, when you practice consciously, remember, we're all one, right? So when you practice consciously, offering yourself mercy, offering yourself grace for your life experience on this planet, then guess what happens when you start to fill yourself with mercy and grace for yourself? You start to overflow with it, right? You start to overflow, and now you have more mercy and grace for other people. But where did it start? Started by remembering that you're worthy of mercy and grace, that you are progressing no matter what the ego says. And you saw it right there with your daughter. You didn't get stuck in the mud. You didn't get stuck in the drama that your daughter was getting into her own mind. You just calmly were able to offer her another way, and in the end, she chose that other way. So that was good. It showed how you can lead her to a place of peace. And when she has issues with her patience and her own understanding of that she's worthy of mercy and grace, you know, this is showing her, and showing you that there is a way to react to your daughter, a way that can bring both of you peace. But it was only because you reacted in those other ways the other times that you said, those other times didn't quite work out for me or her. And so now, by giving you so that mercy, that peace, that understanding, hey, I'm moving forward. I'm progressing. Let me have mercy for myself. Let me have grace for myself. And you start to feel yourself and start to remember, oh, hey, I'm worthy of mercy and grace. And then you start to offer it to all others. So yes, that's a beautiful forward progress, so to speak.
And she begrudgingly let me put the Archangel Michael in her room too.
Make sure you bless that Archangel Michael. Yes.
Well, I prayed right in front of her and said, please watch over my child, watch over this room, remove anything negative. I didn't want to use the word evil or whatever. And she's like, she let me do it.
Nice. Lovely. Yes. Thank you, Wendy. I think that was a great thing, especially when it comes to your relationship with your daughter. That was a good step forward for sure. Yeah.
Oh, too.
Yes.
And thanks to Miracles and you and all my friends here.
Yes. Beautiful examples. Yes. And so, yes, whatever it is that we offer others, we reinforce within ourselves. And so just practice remembering when, let's say, we're not perfect with certain individuals in our experiences. Okay, this is a perfect opportunity for me to practice having mercy and grace for myself. Yes, I get that the ego got me there. The ego got me there for a moment. I stepped into the fairy tale for a moment. But you know what? That's just part of the divine design. This situation is going to help teach me that not only am I worthy of, not only is my brother and sister worthy of mercy and grace, but because when I offer them mercy and grace, I receive peace. So that means that I'm worthy of peace. Okay. And so, yes, every situation helps us grow and remind, little by little, remind ourselves who we truly are, which is the light of the world. And so, thank you, Wendy. Shelly, how you doing? How was your week?
I'm starting to get back to a good place. Like Gay, I went to a peaceful protest in my small town in Virginia. And yeah, I tried to prepare myself before I went. And I kind of live in a place where there's like I live way out in the country actually. And to go down the road to get to my house, there's a lot of rebel flags and things like that along the way. Um, which when I first moved out here, I was like, oh goodness, that just like scared me a lot. I had to get used to that. And so when certain people were driving by and yelling at us and screaming, I'd be like, oh, hey, that's my neighbor, jokingly. Um, yeah, but I did notice when I got home, because I heard about after that on my way home, I heard about what happened in Minnesota, and I'm originally from Minnesota, and I just felt like my heart was broken, and I laid down on my bed and I cried. I took a 2 hour nap. I really needed that, and like t today, I'm kind of just slowly coming back from it, and like you were talking about grace, yeah, that really helps my heart a lot to hear about that, and to be with like-minded people right now is very important for my own peace and my own grace and my growth too. Yeah.
Yes.
And Gay, I do believe too that we are on the road to peace. I really do. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's there. And, for the peace advocates, it can be very strenuous and heartbreaking along the way. But we came here to be the light of the world, and that's what we are. I mean, we can't do anything less than that, right? I mean, what else do we have to do? Yeah.
Yes, and it's remember, we all co-design our journey with God, right? And so however it is that you process whatever happens in the world, you have to give yourself the grace to feel your feelings, you know? So yes, even though we on some level we know that only the love of God is real, we're playing in this duality, and we're trying to be a light within the darkness for others, and that's sometimes not a, in quotes, a easy job, so to speak, in these times. But it's much harder to buy into the delusion as real than to try to be a light within the darkness, no matter what the ego says. The ego's going to tell you, well, it's really going to be hard to keep your peace in this situation. And so you're going to start fighting your own thoughts the whole time if you buy into the ego, what the ego's saying. You have to just remind yourself and reinforce within yourself, okay, only the love in me is real and true. Okay. I stand in that foundation. And so I'm going to do my best each moment and each interaction to remind myself of my job in this planet, my purpose in this planet, and try to offer that to my brothers and sisters, no matter what they offer me. And yes, there's times that we set, yes, go ahead, Shelley.
I just remembered something like I posted, well, I had a friend post for me I go to a Unity church in Chesapeake. I know some of you might go to a Unity church too, about meeting up somewhere. And all I put on there was, we're meeting up at this place if we all want to go together. And some people were worried that, oh, you're posting that, it's going to cause division. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, I'm a prayer chaplain at my Unity Church. I've been there for 20 years. I've been a prayer chaplain. Well, I've been there for 25 years and I've been a prayer chaplain for 20 of those years. And people know me. They know that I would never try to divide somebody. And I just held that in my mind. Like if people know me, they're probably not going to judge me. And yeah, I did feel like that was something important for me to hold on to. Like if people really knew me, they would know that I'm here to keep the peace, to be a loving presence. Yeah. I don't know why I just added that. Because as we show up, gay people who really know that you are the light of the world and they see you as that. And I know people see me as that and people tell me that. And sometimes it makes me embarrassed. I don't even know why when people say, "Oh, Shelly's the light of the world. Look at her. She's so beautiful." And I'm like, but you don't know what's going on inside my head sometimes. It's not beautiful when I'm fighting with my ego. But yeah, but I say thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to add that because it does make a difference how we show up, and we are showing up as the light of the world. So just gonna let that go.
Yes, excellent. Yes, and just and practice when you're showing up. Don't consciously go there by yourself. In the sense that you have a whole spiritual team with you. Okay, you have your guardian angel, you have your guides, you have Christ if you want Christ to come with you. You have the Holy Spirit, and so there's a whole team that's available to you.
They all heard me say that to that man. Oh no.
But
They all heard me say that to that man. Oh no.
That's all right. They probably laughed. To be honest with you, they go, okay.
They probably wanted to say it too. They probably wanted to say it too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they see everything as anything other than love. It's just a lesson, you know. It's something that calls for correction. It's a lesson. It's going to make you wiser and smarter and more graceful and more kind and more compassionate and more forgiving. And so every like one of the things, of course, the miracle says, what the ego uses to hurt, the Holy Spirit uses to heal. Okay, and so no matter what the ego says to you, okay, no matter how much you think other people are judging you, the Holy Spirit is going to use it to help you grow, heal, and awaken. And so every situation in our experience, it's either perfect or it's helping us reinforce the understanding that this is also going to be perfect. Our ego cannot see this right now, because our ego is trained a certain way. And so it has you try to judge yourself for whatever it is that your ego says wasn't perfect. But again, God is going to use all for good. And so if God uses all for good, is there ever really a necessity to judge yourself for whatever it is that you're processing? If you know that God is going to use it for good, if God is going to use it to help you grow, heal, and awaken, you're not gonna sink into the madness of the ego if you know that God is going to use every experience in your life for good. Okay, and so when you start to remember that, okay, maybe I wasn't the the most graceful person right now, but I know that God is going to use this for good. So this is just going to be a lesson that I'm going to have in my tool belt, and then I'm going to be able to learn from this and then offer it to my brother and sister who God will send my way to help me remember that I can use my life experience for good. And so that's all it is. You don't have to judge yourself for your experience. God is going to use it for good. And so remember that. Practice what we talked about before with Wendy. Have mercy and grace, like Christina said, for yourself, for your experience, and use those experiences not to dive deeper into the darkness, not to sink into the ego swamp, but just understand, okay, this God is going to use for my good. And so what happens when you do that? You unconsciously begin to trust God more. When you know that every one of your experience He's going to use for good, you start to develop an unconscious trust in God. And when you develop an unconscious trust in God, you develop an unconscious peace, which little by little becomes more and more conscious. And so it's all a perfect circle. It's all a divine design. It's all good. So no need for judgment or self-judgment. All right. Any final comments or questions before we close? No? All right. The lesson today was the June 16th, no longer blocking our awareness to the presence of peace. And so let's just recall that in each situation, in each interaction, the possibility for peace is available to us. And all we have to do is allow God to lead the way, Christ, Holy Spirit, love to lead the way, and just walk behind love and be only love. All right. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Good
Thank
James.
you,
Good
Thank you,
night.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you, everybody.
you.
Take care.
Take care.